I hope you can hear me. I am just going to start running through this. Hopefully, more people will hop on. Um, we're going to talk about healthy swaps for your favorite comfort foods. And we partnered up with Healthy Steps Nutrition to kind of support our clients using a framework that's guided and tested and proven. And it's basically something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a habit based approach. So, helping you become the best and healthiest version of yourself isn't just about what you eat or going to the gym. You just want to take a holistic approach, focusing on nutrition, stress management, mindset, system, and lifestyle. So, all those things factor in when it comes to your health. So, you kind of want to reflect on the last time you decided to lose weight this starting a diet and kind of think about what that looked like. Um, what are some of the first things you want to do? It's usually cutting something out of your day like sugar or carbs, maybe even alcohol. And then you want to think about how long you stuck with it and kind of what you were thinking about during that time. A lot of times when we really cut things like that, we kind of have that intense desire, even though we're doing our best to stay strong. But kind of staying away from that thing becomes the one thing you start to think about throughout the day. Research suggests that 80% of people who lose a significant portion of their body weight won't maintain it for 12 months or more. So, a lot of times, why that happens is a lack of consistency, and you just don't have the necessary habits to keep the weight off. So, it's not easy. But again, we want to make it simple, focusing on that habit based approach. And really not restricting ourselves. What we want to focus on is adding things instead of taking things away. So, to keep it simple, kind of putting this in perspective, when we're told we can't have something, we kind of subconsciously feel like our right or freedom has been taken away. And that kind of causes us to retaliate by thinking about it or wanting it more. So, in order to find long term success, you want to think about what you can add rather than to restrict. So, we're going to talk about healthy swaps for your favorite comfort foods. So, you feel less restricted and more balanced, and that we're not taking away things that you still enjoy or that you should be able to have. So, the first one we're going to talk about is pasta. And this is a big one. Um, and really, pasta's not bad for you. Carbs are good, but too much of it, isn't great. There's healthy swaps that you can do. There's like pasta made of beans, there's whole grain pasta. So you kind of always want to look for those. Um, and again, carbs aren't bad for you, but you can manage your carb load a little bit better, your blood sugar, and increase your veggie consumption by adding like spaghetti squash instead of pasta. So this is like a really good one that you can do. With the spaghetti squash, it's very nutrient dense. It's low in calories, but it has a lot of nutrients like fiber, vitamin C, B vitamins, and 1 cup of squash is only about 31 calories. So it's definitely an easy way to cut back there. There's lots of different ways to prepare it. Baking it in the oven with a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, about 400 degrees, 30 to 40 minutes. It's usually the best way. You can also do it in an Instapot, or a high pressure cooker for about 7 minutes with about a cup of water added at the bottom. This is also something you can buy pre-made these days just to save time. Sometimes that's a little bit more convenient. Besides spaghetti squash, there's zoodles, like zucchini noodles. That's a really good swap to kind of minimize carbohydrate load for pasta nights. 1 cup of these has 20 calories. So you're getting more volume for very few calories. And again, you're going to be adding nutrients like folate, potassium, vitamin A. Studies show that eating zucchini also might help reduce blood pressure and possibly lower the risk of heart disease. So this is super easy. You can get one of those spiralizers if you're making it from scratch. And you can always buy these, they're pre-packaged as well. You can just cook it in a skillet over medium heat with, again, a little bit of olive oil until it's just lightly softened. You do want to go with the regular pasta, the zoodles, the spaghetti squash are your thing. Again, look for those healthier swaps like pasta made of beans, pasta made of whole grains. They're going to pack more of a fiber punch. And a good time to eat those carbs would be like right after your workout. So again, you do need carbs to fuel your body, but sometimes that timing is going to be a little bit better. But again, just kind of looking for those whole grain varieties. Last one is Hearts of Palm pasta. This they have at Trader Joe's. It's really good. It's got a lot of volume and nutrients with fewer carbs. For about 100 grams or a cup, you get 20 calories with grams of fiber. Whereas like that same amount of pasta would be 149 calories. So these have instructions on the box. They're a really good option as well. So if you maybe you're having pasta a few nights a week, maybe you enjoy the real thing once and sub out the veggies a couple of those other days. So pasta is always a big favorite comfort food. The next one I think a lot of us love to snack on would be chips, any kind of fried snacks or chips. And these are just super addicting, those savory snacks, the salt and the fat. A typical serving of potato chips is about 150 to 200 calories and has more than 10 grams of fat. A lot of times we're not just the serving size that's on the bag. We tend to eat probably double that or triple that. Consumption of chips is strongly linked to weight gain and obesity. So again, we don't want to restrict it, but we want to kind of have a healthy swap. So homemade sweet potato chips is a really good one. You could do these in the oven or
Abby's not very good at sharing.
Was ist los? Schatz, ich komme gleich zu dir. Was ist denn los?
Salt.
Hazel, lass mich das mal bitte kurz anhören. Ich komme gleich
Mandolin
wieder.
is a good way to slice them. So you
Sag
can
doch mal, was los
get
ist.
Oh, Dominique, would you mind muting real
Was
quick?
denn?
I think what goes is your tie.
Ja.
I got you. I'll mute you there. Okay. Can hear the kids in the background. Mandolin is beneficial. It kind of helps slice them more easily. Sweet potatoes are really high in fiber, antioxidants, beta carotene, help support healthy eyes and a strong immune system. Homemade kale chips is another really good one. They're going to give like a nice salty crunch and they have a lot of fiber, about 5 grams. They have vitamin A, C, K, and they have folate and magnesium as well. So that's shown to play a vital role in blood sugar regulation, as well as carbohydrates and fat metabolism. So definitely a good option on that one also. Let's see here, how to cook those. You want to do about 3 big cups of kale drizzled with a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of sea salt, spread it out on a baking sheet. You can put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 to 18 minutes until it's crunchy. Another thing you can do is add some nutritional yeast to this. It'll give it like a cheesy flavor, and that'll up your B12 intake as well. So that you can find in any health food store. Jewel has nutritional yeast, Whole Foods. It's just another good additive. It gives it a little bit more flavor and really gives you that B12 in there. If you're not so hot on making them yourself, you just want to look for baked chips that have very little ingredients. So sometimes we don't want to cook. Maybe it's the summer. We don't have an air fryer, but we don't want to put our oven on. Kind of looking for baked in it, but less ingredients. If it has a ton of stuff, a ton of oils, you still want to stay away from it. Make sure the options you look for are higher in fiber and protein and don't have a lot of saturated fat and sodium. So any kind of veggie chips that are like lentil based, black bean based, even popcorn chips, they're going to be a little bit better, but you do still want to read the package because they can be process. So again, the less ingredients, the better. Usually like 2 to 3 is where you want to stay. And you still do want to be mindful on portion size with these as well. So we've got our pasta, we've got our chips. The next one, especially with summer coming, is what we're going to talk about, ice cream. Definitely a comfort food that we all enjoy, but it may not leave us feeling our best. So ice cream has a lot of calories, sugar, The calories are from fat. A regular serving is about 210 calories with 13 grams of fat. It has a lot of saturated fat, but it also has about 19 grams of sugar. And that's going to be added sugar, which is something you really want to avoid. You want to try not to have more than 6 teaspoons of added sugar per day. And same thing with ice cream. You're usually not eating the serving that's on the package, usually taking a few scoops, maybe eating the whole pint, that kind of thing. It's definitely really hard to have that portion control with this. A nice alternative to this is called Nice Cream. So it's really easy. You just take some frozen bananas, blend them in a blender or food processor until it has the consistency of ice cream. And you can kind of personalize it by adding different fruits or flavors like vanilla. You can add like almond butter in there, some walnuts, even some, dark chocolate chips. That's always good. You can make it at home and it has fewer calories, less fat, less saturated fat, and it just doesn't have that added sugar. So anytime you're getting sugar from fruit, that's okay because that's natural sugar and you have other nutrients in the fruit that's going to slow that absorption down. Next alternative, again, if you're not so hot on making it yourself, look for kind of Greek-based yogurt options. I also like to look for almond milk-based options here. Yasso is a good brand, still processed, but it's only 100 calories per package, and it does have 5 grams of protein. Still a little bit higher on the sugar, 12 grams of added, but it's still better than that ice cream. They do have a good range of flavors, but again, I'm always big on making this yourself. The less processed, the better. You can just look for unsweetened almond yogurt or milk. Pop that in a popsicle mold, add some fruit to it. Boom, you've got your own and you know exactly what's in it. It's always kind of the way to go. But sometimes, you like that treat. Next one is candy. This is definitely a big one. This is our number 4 swap. The average American consumes about 8 pounds of candy per year, which is a ton of that added sugar that we're trying to stay away from. Candy's fine to celebrate once in a while, holidays, birthdays, but it really should be eaten in moderation. So if you're reaching for the candy, more often than not, we have a couple swaps for that. First one is, of course, going to be that fresh fruit. Again, whenever we're talking about the sugar in fruit, it's not added sugar, it's that natural sugar, and you have all those other micronutrients in the fruit that's not going to spike your blood sugar. Fruit is low in calories, high in fiber, and it gives your body vitamins and minerals. It keeps you energized and feeling healthy. If you've tried to swap fruit, but you haven't had it really cut your sweet tooth, try it with it's on that flavored Greek yogurt or almond milk yogurt with some berries on top, maybe add some nuts. So just doctoring it up a little bit to kind of satisfy that craving. If fruit, sometimes even just frozen fruit is good too in the summer. I kind of like that one. That's one of my go-tos. Another swap would be dark chocolate. So instead of reaching for the milk chocolate or the Snickers, dark chocolate is going to be a lot better than milk chocolate or white chocolate, and that's because it's made from cocoa beans. So cocoa beans are high in flavonoids, which are antioxidants, and they do fight cell damage in the body. They've been shown to control cholesterol, lower blood pressure, and reduce the risk of blood clots. So dark chocolate has more cocoa beans, and it's the least processed of all the chocolate. And also with this, the darker it is, the higher the percentage of cocoa beans. So you do want to look for at least 70 to 85% dark chocolate, and still being mindful of that portion size. Just kind of break it up. A really good brand I like is called HU, H-U. It stands for Back to Human. It's very simple ingredients, no additives in there. You just break off a little piece and it does satisfy that sweet tooth. They have different flavors on that, like mint. They have a salty dark chocolate one. So that's a really good brand that I like to recommend. Last swap is probably a hard one for all of us, and that's going to be soda or pop. Studies have found that in the US, sugar sweetened beverages like pop are our largest source of added sugar. And we're going to kind of put this into context. If you're grabbing 7 to 10 cubes or teaspoons of sugar and stirring it into a glass of water, that would kind of be really sweet and it wouldn't be so good. but that is exactly what's in one can of soda. So if you're, again, grabbing like those 7 to 10 teaspoons, that's just in one can of pop. Studies have found a strong link between soda consumption and increased weight. One specific study found that each additional 12-ounce soda a child consumes increases their odds of becoming obese by 60%. So really watch the soda. This is what I would just recommend cutting out altogether. And I'm going to give you some healthy alternatives. Most people would say if you can cut out that one thing, pop is the one to go because it really doesn't have any nutritional benefit for you. So some options for soda are going to be flavored water. Water should pretty much always be our first choice, but taste, not all of us are a fan, but adding flavors with fruits, herbs, or even a little bit of 0-calorie sweetener like Neo, that's going to be better than pop. And you do always want to be aiming to consume at least 60 to 80 ounces of water each day, more in the summer. But start slow, build up, and definitely flavoring a little bit is the way to go. I love cucumber with lemon, mint in there. In the summer, it's going to be refreshing. You still have that pop craving. Oops, we're going to go. I went way too far back. So bear with me for a second here. We'll go back to our pop alternative. Sugar-free soda alternatives. So these are really popular. A lot of us just like that carbonated, that sparkling flavor. So LaCroix is a really good one. They have a ton of flavors. Waterloo is a good one as well. And then they also have those soda streams that can carbonate your water. You can kind of flavor them however you want. But these are all good options that maybe like have that carbonated craving that satisfy that, but they're not going to have that added sugar. That is, again, just empty calories, and that's really just going to spike your blood sugar. So those are our 5 healthy swaps. And again, we kind of partnered with Healthy Steps Nutrition. We focus on a whole foods approach, focus on balancing our macronutrients, making sure we're getting our fats, our carbs, and our proteins at every meal, and really limiting the amount of processed carbs and sugar that we have in our diet. So always whole foods first. A couple frequently asked questions, especially when it comes to like the nice cream, or if it's something that you don't want to swap out. The goal is to try to add in things instead of restrict. So if you really do want a little bit of that ice cream or that pasta, again, go for it. But stick to the portion sizes. Once in a while, it's okay. But you want to make sure you're well balanced. So if every once in a while you're craving the real thing, that's okay. You just really want to be mindful of your portions and try to start to really incorporate some of these healthier swaps in there, because you'll find that as time goes on, you will start to crave these other things less. The chips, the pop, the candy, those are all designed to be addicting. So the more you have it, the more you are going to crave it. So the more that you can't swap out those with healthier options, the less you're going to want it. Although it does take time. So in the beginning, again, give in a little bit here and there. Kind of want to have that 80-20 balance, where you're giving in just a little bit of the time. If you're thinking about where you should start, that's always a good question. You don't want to have to do 20 different things at once. You kind of want to think about what stood out to you the most. So we went over the pasta, we went over the ice cream, the candy, the chips, and the soda. Which one is maybe the one that you struggle with the most, or that you crave the most, and maybe that's the one you can start swapping out first. So with the pasta, maybe that spaghetti squash instead of the traditional pasta, doing the homemade sweet potato chips instead of the regular ones, or trying the nice cream instead of the ice cream, and maybe trying that flavored water. So again, you don't have to do all these at once. Again, if you do try to do 3 things at once or 4 things at once, you have a less chance of succeeding. If you focus on one thing at a time, you have an 80% chance that you're going to maintain that. And that's what we want to build up to, just maintaining these habits. Maybe you're thinking this all sounds great, but you want a little bit of accountability in that area. We do offer nutrition coaching at the studio now. So you would work one-on-one with our nutrition coach. They'll help you set goals, create a plan that will focus on one thing at a time. Again, we're going to take that habit-based approach. You get personalized support and accountability, and that's really what makes the difference too. So if you're interested in doing some nutrition coaching through the studio, you can book a free intro. The nutrition coach will go over it with you. You'll sign up. You guys will create a plan together. You'll have that support and accountability, and you will be well on your way to becoming the healthiest version of yourself. So some of the stuff our ongoing coaching includes is nutrition education. It's customized for you and your individualized needs. You have individualized habits, monthly meetings with your nutrition coach, weekly check-ins. You also get a body scan once a month as well to make sure you're on track. And you're just going to learn those long-term strategies to reach your goals. Nutrition is very overwhelming, and that is honestly where people struggle the most. So having that accountability and that support from our nutrition coach is definitely a good way to get you on the way to reaching your goals. So I'm going to kind of open it up for any questions. If you ladies have any questions about any of our healthy swaps. I know a few of you had popped on. See Erin and Maritza and Dominique. Did you ladies have any questions about anything?
Have you, this is Erin, have you seen the, I've seen it online, the swap for ice cream where they use cottage cheese?
Oh, that one I haven't heard of. I'm sure like if you Google it, cottage cheese would definitely a better option for it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. I would definitely Google it. We have, if you come in, when you come into the studio on the recipe board, we partnered with Healthy Steps Nutrition. Go on
Uh-huh.
their website as well. It'll take you to a ton of the recipes that I talked about. The cottage cheese one I haven't heard of, but I'm sure it would maybe be like a ice cream cheesecake is what I'm thinking. I'm
Kind of like, I haven't tried it. I think it's cottage cheese, maybe some protein powder. I've seen somebody put like the Lily's chocolate chips in it.
Oh yeah, so kind of similar. They're just, I guess, swapping out like instead of the banana or whatever, using
Right,
the cottage
right, more,
cheese.
I guess,
But
more protein
yeah,
heavy. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that would definitely be an option for sure. Or again, you can use like the unsweetened almond milk as well, or unsweetened almond yogurt or Greek yogurt. That's going to be a good option as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Did anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I had a question. Do we just sign up in the studio then if we wanted to do like the nutrition, Nikki?
Yes, so you can talk with the front desk. They will get you signed up, and then they would set up your first like goals. You can either do a goal setting session or your individual consultation. Once you sign up, they'll get you all set up to do that coaching and set you up for your first appointment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I know definitely nutrition is the hard part for most of us. But if you do focus on one thing at a time, and again, kind of on adding things instead of taking away, and just like really focusing on long-term strategies, it does eventually become second nature. I do promise that. It does take a while to get there, and it is a lot because there's so much misinformation out there. But that's again why we kind of keep it simple. Always focus on those whole foods, getting a balance of the macronutrients, and really just limiting your processed foods and added sugar. That's really the secret sauce. There's no magic tea. There's no magic, fasting. It's really just kind of eating those healthy foods, but having that nice balance. So I just ask, do you guys have any other questions before I sign off?
I'm good, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you ladies for joining me. They will record this, or it is recording, so they'll post it again. If you ever have any questions, let me know. And if you are interested in the nutrition coaching, you can always just get that set up with the front desk, and even just set a goal setting session with one of the coaches.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right,
You ladies have a good night, and I will see you soon for class.
Yes.
All right.
Good night.
Bye, ladies. Have a good night.